This webinar is sponsored by NEC Corporation, a $37 billion technology leader with over 100 years of innovation. Their ProgrammableFlow network suite was the first commercially available enterprise-class SDN solution to leverage the OpenFlow protocol. Thank you for your time and interest in NEC's ProgrammableFlow network suite.
This sponsored webinar is one of many IP-Space data center webinars. You can register for live sessions, buy the recordings, or get access to all of them with a yearly subscription. For more information, visit ipspace.net/dc. As I mentioned before, ProgrammableFlow Controller currently does not run any control plane protocols like spanning tree or routing protocols, which means that it's simplest if you can integrate this OpenFlow fabric with external networks on layer 4 and above through firewalls or load balancers. This would give you ideal layer 2 and layer 3 forwarding within the fabric. It would give you single configuration management and provisioning and single control plane entity, but you wouldn't have to run any protocols with the external network, because here you would have a demarcation point through firewalls or load balancers. Typical deployment scenarios would obviously be either private clouds or mid-size public clouds. Why am I saying mid-size? You've heard before, a reasonable number of switches is around 100. Or you could build Hadoop clusters with this. Or this might be a perfect use case. Turnkey systems where you want to ship a whole data center in a box to a customer, and you don't want the customer to have to deal with the physical connectivity and configuration of the switches. So you just use a ProgrammableFlow fabric and you give the customer visibility through the management interface. Talking about this deployment, there's an interesting question from the audience. Can the user configure the complete VTN, or can he only configure virtual bridges, routers, and their links? What you can configure on the VTN level are, as you said, virtual bridges, virtual routers, links between them, and connections to the outside world. So you could say, I have this external interface that goes into this subnet on this physical port. The administrator can configure how a virtual network topology should look like. How that topology is implemented on the physical devices is a different story, and that's the value add of the PFC. The other thing you can also do is you can specify over which paths you want certain traffic to flow, so you can implement some sort of policy-based routing within a VTN. The other ideal use case would be traffic steering. So if you want to send some traffic to IDS, IPS, or if you want to do service insertion, then the traffic steering capabilities of PFC would be ideal. Or you can use this to block denial of service attacks within the fabric. So if someone from an external IP address is attacking you, you can easily use traffic steering based on source IP address and drop the traffic or send it to an IDS for inspection. And finally, what I really like, extended OpenFlow that ties together the virtual and the physical switches. The whole Cloud-as-Appliance, together with the hypervisors, appears as a single configuration, management, and control plane entity. And because PFC has more features than a typical hypervisor switch, you could easily implement things that we are wishing for and asking for and never getting from the hypervisor vendors. Private VLANs we do have. Source, MAC, and IP address checks, well, we have them in some cases, and usually we have to configure them. And you can implement the NIC level packet filters on individual VMs straight from the baseline PFC functionality. Could it be reasonable to deploy ProgrammableFlow within Metro network to provide VTN services to business customers?
It may make sense. The only thing is that if you can deploy using OpenFlow switches, then you can definitely provide a sort of a multi-tenant B2B network where people can come and create their own network and ways to connect to their external gateways.
Oh, related to this particular slide, how many PFS 1000 switches can be managed by a PFC cluster?
The number of PFS actually builds on the number of switches, and the total number is around 100 under one controller.
If you have questions after watching this video, send a tweet to @iOSHint or send me an email using contact form on ibspace.net, where you'll also find information about other data center webinars. For all commercial questions and programmable flow evaluation requests, please contact NEC.